Yo, this is Simon from Ongakan. Welcome to another video. This is a recap video of the things that have changed very recently at Ongakan. The last recap video was back in December, and in that video I told you about RackJacker, about our activities, and about what's gonna come. However, some things have changed since then, and you may have noticed that our website now redirects to a new blog that we have established, and if not, I'm just gonna tell you here. Essentially, we have completely changed our direction, and it's quite funny because it's almost June. Tomorrow is June, 1st of June 2023, and it's been half a year since our last video or any kind of updates, and the reason is that it's been crazy, and since January we had interns that were working on RackJacker partly. They were with us for 3 months until March, or like the end of March, and halfway through the internship we have stopped for a bit and thought about what we're doing, and we saw everything that was going on in the world, especially in the tech industry, and we saw all the advancements in the field of artificial intelligence. And speaking for myself, this has really inspired me. I was always interested in AI, and I always wanted to dabble with it, or dabble in it, and I wanted to build bots and assistants and smart homes and solutions utilizing AI. And funnily enough, since I was like 12 or 13, I've been trying to build a smart digital assistant, and it was always like a hard-coded C# script back then that I made in the old Visual Basic, just pulled elements into like a window back on, I think it was Windows Vista, and built a little window that had Microsoft text-to-speech system for reading text, and I just hard-coded some commands into it, and it responded and was able to run some commands. And this has always fascinated me, even though it was really stupid like looking back, it was really stupid, and it was something that was very simplistic and didn't really have any adaptability. It wasn't able to adapt to new situations. It was hard-coded. It was only able to do what was programmed into it. And I've been very much motivated to build something like this at some point. However, I didn't really have the knowledge, and I also wanted to make games, and I stayed within game development and tried to make games. And now 3 years ago, I think it's already 3 years ago, I made Beat Rush, which is or was on Steam. For owners it's still there, but for new players it's not even visible on the store page. I made Beat Rush, a very simplistic 3D game where you play as a spaceship in the middle of the universe above, and you levitate above a platform that forms like a race runway, and you just fly above it and collect points and avoid obstacles, and you're supposed to survive to the end of a backing track that's playing. And I made the soundtrack for this game, and after that I also had some ideas in the meantime and also before that, but those were way more complex and required a lot more time. But I was also working on a game about hackers, and I've always been fascinated by that too, and I've also dabbled in cybersecurity, and I'm still interested in it. But it has never really, like, the drive is there, but I tried to get into it, but kind of didn't really work out. I do have some basic knowledge from it, but it's not like on a professional level or anything close to that. And I try to make a bigger game, and especially after Beat Rush, I was like, I have so many ideas. I want to build something great, and so I picked up one of my older projects, which was back then called House of the Hacker, and it went through many phases. But what you might have heard is, or what you might know it as, was RackJacker, and RackJacker was. At this point was a game that was about a hacker who lost her family and was going to find the people responsible and hunt them down. And originally this game was a part of a series called Terminal Insanity. Years ago, at this point, like 6 years ago or so, or 7, more or less, I made a text game, pure like a terminal simulator, a game that was the first entry to this Terminal Insanity series. It was called Terminal Insanity, and it was about hacking. It was very accurate. It was sort of realistic, and you were inside a command line interface, and you were supposed to complete these missions, and it was all very basic, and you could make it in half an hour, like complete the game in half an hour, but it was a lot of fun, and I wanted to like expand the story and make more content for it. And that's where RackJacker came in, which was no more a text game but a 3D action adventure, like a full game, or like a full-on experience, or like a real game, or whatever you want to call it. But this was a very complex project, and most of the time I was working alone on it. And this solo experience wasn't really like long. If you do something like this for a long time by yourself, it kind of starts feeling like the first thing is, if it's too complex, you're just moving too slowly, and it might become cumbersome, and you might start losing yourself and being like, where am I, what next, and like what's happening, and just lose your mind over it. And it can also feel really lonely. But I had been trying to go through that and fight through that and finish the game. And I managed to make a demo with the help of some Unreal Marketplace assets that I got, and also a friend who can make 3D graphics. So he helped me a little bit, but it was still above even my physical ability to build something as complex. But I still wanted to get the story out there, and I still wanted to tell it. And I started writing an ebook in parallel, because one thing was that I enjoy creative writing. And I like sci-fi writing, almost fictional literature. Although I prefer reading non-fiction, but writing fiction, which is quite interesting. But anyway, that was the first factor. I enjoy it, and I also realized that there's a second factor, and that's, what if I don't make the game? What if I'm not able to finish it? I still want to tell the story. So that's the second factor. And at that point I probably already realized that, even though I was still working on it. And I managed to make a working, very limited prototype with a tutorial mission that actually a Twitch streamer played last year and streamed. It was very interesting to watch, and it made me feel that, wow, like I made something. But it wasn't nowhere near what I envisioned, and it was nowhere near what I actually wanted to do. And this whole project, including pauses and breaks and other projects and school in the meantime, this idea was born, like I said, like 6-7 years ago. So considering the time investment and the length of the project, and like the potential additional time investment if I had continued, was just too much. And my parents were already telling me that I should rethink what I'm doing with this project, that I've already put so much time into it, and resources as well, other than time. And at the beginning of this year, in like February, I saw what was happening in AI and saw that many things that were incredibly difficult in the past, even a year ago, due to computational requirements, were getting more and more accessible. And so I thought to myself, I like, that was really one of the first software projects that I experimented with, even when it was in Visual Basic, dragging icons and windows and elements around, and building this very basic hard-coded assistant. It was one of the first things, and it really fascinated me, and I had always wanted to build a Jarvis. I'm a huge fan of Iron Man, and I had always wanted to build something like that, and I believe that it's already possible, and there are emerging these open source projects currently, these agents, and I believe that's very close to what I envision as Jarvis, or a Jarvis-like system. And back then I called it Mark. It was, I don't know, I think it actually came from Iron Man, one of the suits. The suits were versioned as Mark, Mark II, Mark III, and so on. And I didn't get that at the time. I thought that it was just the name of the suit. I didn't get the versioning. Now I do, but I named it Mark back then, so I decided to keep it. And so my version of Jarvis, my assistant that I've been trying to build, is Mark. And back then I managed to make like up to Mark III, but it was still hard-coded. There wasn't any, like I said, any intelligence. And so back to February 2023, this year, I saw what was happening, and I literally felt a train, or not literally, well, but I felt this pressure. I imagined the train of AI going straight next to me, and I felt I had to jump on it. And it was incredible. Like I saw it. I saw that I had to be a part of it, and I had to go straight into it, head first. And so I did. I made a very difficult decision. After a total 7 years, I managed to, or not managed, but I decided to, it was very difficult, but I decided to stop the project and exit game development, at least for the time being, even though one day I want to finish that game. But I decided to stop it and go full on into AI, and as such Ongakan also went into AI, and I decided to rebrand to Ongakan AI. And in the past half a year I've been almost non-stop in AI. Luckily it's also a part of my education as a computer scientist, and I have a teacher who works with specifically computer vision. I focus on NLP, but the core concepts are still similar, so we can discuss ideas, and I can learn a lot from him as well. And I have learned so much and read tens of books on AI, and various from basics to very, very advanced ones on transformers and so on. And I really went full on into it, and I feel like this is something that I want to do full time, and I'm doing that currently. And I'm going to continue my education as a data scientist, and yeah, we'll see where that goes. But for the time being, I'm committed to continue building Mark, but using transformer models. And I want to build an assistant that will be helpful, friendly, and that you can have it at your house, and you can host it at your house locally. No sending of your personal data offsite. You would have it in your garage or something, host it there, and all your devices would be connected to it, to your house. And it would be collecting all this data, but privately. Only you would have access. And the point is that the assistant would have all this information, would know everything there is to know about you, and would be able to provide assistance, either advice or talk to you casually or plan things, organize for you, just like a buddy, like a very good friend, or like an office assistant, or maybe those two combined, a Jarvis. So that's one of my primary objectives, and many people are trying to create similar systems, but I want to put it all into one, this big assistant that can do it all. And in parallel, this assistant will also have the ability to learn about people and to understand the human language and the intricacies of human communication, interpersonal communication better. And the main reason is that I am introvert, I am very socially anxious, and as you can probably tell, and I really have difficulties talking to people, especially strangers. For example, if I'm at an event or at a party once a year or something, and I see somebody interesting, or hear a conversation that I could be a part of, I could contribute, but I just feel this invisible force pulling me back, and this wall in front of me, not letting me break through and communicate. And I've always had that for many years, and I'm trying to get through it, and I've always been looking for technical solutions. I'm a very technical type. I've always had a scientific mind, always kept analyzing things, maybe over-analyzing often, looking into why things happen this way and that way. And that's probably one of the reasons why I've always been looking for a technical solution to this issue. And many people have similar issues. So a part of the MARC project is a system that can analyze your interactions with people, first text and later also voice, but first text, so you're chatting to someone. And the system will be able to analyze the conversation and will be able to tell what the other person likely feels, what is their intent, are they interested in the conversation, and all these different metrics. And I want to make it really informative to the user. And the system will be able to give you advice on, for example, will be able to tell you what is a likely outcome of what you want to say. And I want this because I know that sometimes I really feel like, what if I say this? How are they gonna feel, and what they're gonna think? And all this is part of the social anxiety thing. So this solution would help significantly with this issue. And I imagine that people with similar conditions would really benefit from something like that too. And while it would also help people, it would also help machines understand people better. And I think this is key to these assistants, and that's why it's a part of the MARC project. To help these systems understand people a lot better on a more personal level, understand the very complex details of human communication. It's not an easy task. People have been trying to break this nut or whatever the saying is, for many years. I'm trying my own solutions and drawing inspiration from previous work and related work as well. And we'll see where that will go. I'm working currently on a paper that might bring us closer to something that would be a beginning of a solution to this issue. So we'll see what the results and the evaluation of that will be coming soon. But I really believe that something like this would greatly benefit us. And yeah, currently, if you join our Discord server, you will be able to interact with Mark III, which is a transformer-based model that can talk casually to you and in almost perfect English currently only. It can do basic German and some other languages such as Spanish, but not well, so preferably English. And the accuracy of the model and the overall performance is pretty good. And while it still can't reason and can't reach the factual level that one would probably want, it can still help with creative tasks, and that's one of the use cases. So if you want to see what that's all about, join our Discord or keep tuned into our blog. We'll post some news there, and we'll keep posting updates there too, and our YouTube channel and Twitch for new content in the video format about all these projects and updates like these and so on. So I would probably conclude with saying that even though we were radio silent pretty much for half a year and there weren't any updates, and maybe some people were excited about the game, I seriously doubt that, but it's possible. It was really hard to make this decision, but I'm super excited and I'm very, very much interested in artificial intelligence, and this is where I'm going, and straightforward, and this is the new path, and yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. So if you're interested, stay tuned, and if you have any thoughts or any comments, just let me know in the comment section below. See you later.